My guest today made his Broadway debut 3 years ago, surprising everyone who knew him only from TV's Weeds with a powerful performance in Spring Awakening. Now he's back on Broadway playing the one, the only Jesus in Godspell. Please welcome Hunter Parrish. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
It's awesome.
I mean, Jesus. When you hear people on the street go, Jesus, do you now like turn around and?
That actually just happened on my way here, and
really?
I had this moment of, a lot of people call me Silas from Weeds, like they'll yell that across the street, and then someone said Jesus, but they were with a young child. So in my head, at first I just thought they were, cursing, and then I realized, like, no, maybe they had seen the show and were saying, like, hey, it's Jesus, and that was a weird,
that's really weird.
little
that people
surreal moment.
Calling you Jesus on the street.
I'm used to Silas. That's the thing, but Jesus, I don't know. I don't know how I'll respond to that.
What's your most Jesus-like quality, Hunter?
Oh God, what?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, let me say I saw the show. I loved it. And you are Jesus. I mean, you pull out. You're the modern day Jesus. You're pulling it off.
I'm sure he'll be very offended by that.
He doesn't watch.
I appreciate that. That's very cool. I hope so. I mean, whatever religious ideas you have of the man, he was one that was giving and caring and loving. So I hope I mean, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Did you know this show? Did you pursue this role? What happened?
I did not know the show, really. I mean, I knew of it, of course.
Right.
I saw the movie when I was in high school, and I loved it. It's one of my best friend's favorite movies. And then they told me it was coming to Broadway. I remember seeing the old signs about 3 years ago when we were doing Spring Awakening. It was coming to Broadway, and I remember seeing these prepare-y things, and I was like, "What is that about?" And then they went away, and nothing happened, and I was like, "Really? What is that about?" And in February of this year, 2011, I met Danny Goldstein, our amazing director, and then I didn't hear anything for another like 4 or 5 months, and then I met our amazing, amazing producer, Ken Davenport, and he said, "We want you to be Jesus," and I said, "Where do I sign?" And here we are.
The funny thing is that for years, this production has been using a poster of this blonde dude walking by the Godspell logo, and now when you look at it, it kind of looks like you.
Yes, everyone says that. In fact, at the line yesterday, as I was signing things, they were like, "So that's you, right?" And I said, "Actually, it is not me." And they were just shocked and angered, and it was a whole thing. But I think it's a guy named Neil, some Neil guy that was a part of the show. Not even, I don't think, on the acting side, but
right.
back in '06, and they just sort of took that as a thing, and
I think you should own it.
Work.
I think we should start a rumor that you were actually cast.
I should.
Way
4 or 5 years ago, and
you've been preparing for this role.
That's right.
For one.
A lot of
your
prep
life.
went into this situation. Yeah, no, but I'm glad, and it kind of the way it worked out. So
now this is it's a little bit of a hippy dippy show. I mean, there's sort of you can definitely tell that it came from a bunch of probably people that were really effed up and free love, and I mean, it's like a modern day Jesus, modern day disciples, and you should get to hear his teachings in a really cool modern way, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
Godspell.
Exactly. We, of course, it originated in a very the guys at Carnegie Mellon actually. John Tablek was just confused about this whole teaching and what that was and how to make, and so he took this and he was like, how could we make this more fun and understandable and less religious and preachy and whatever, and then brought Stephen on, and and they met, and I think what happened with that was so magical, and that is also true with our situation. We had fun playing around for with this production in 2011 for about 2 weeks before Stephen saw it, and then he came on again and reminded us where this came from. And so we did put some of that, we were trying to have actually a departure from the original and just show we're different, we're trying to be a little more current and relevant to today's people and society, whatever. And then he sort of said, that is great, and I think what you've added is great. We talk about Facebook, we talk about Lindsay Lohan, we do bring up current events, but he also said, but there's a certain spirit to Godspell that needs to remain, and so we added that back in, and So the thing that you see, the product that you see now, has still some of that hippy dippy stuff, which I think is important to remember, just sort of like free living and love.
This is an amazingly talented cast. And so I assume you guys are all getting high and screwing around and living together. What's happening?
We do not get high together. There have been no drugs.
High on Broadway. You're high on Broadway.
We are high on life. We are high on the Great White Way. There has been some wine drinking, which we that's do cool. On stage and off. I mean, not really on stage.
Well, there's free wine during intermission.
That's correct. We have some wine.
Bonus.
But I cannot explain to you the massive impact that us as a core group, and that extends into our choreographer Chris Catelli, our director, our sound designer, our interns that are helping us out in the stage management, as well as our amazing 4 understudies, who one of them has actually been in the show since we started previews. So there's the 14 cast, and again, the extension of all of our crew. That family of people and the community that we have built within, as we've been making this has, I mean, I don't want to say totally made the spirit of this show, but it is definitely a great influence on how successful we have been in just living in creating a world that people can experience and enjoy and sit and watch, but understand that what is going on stage is actually very true and very real and pure as far as love and community and support goes. And so yes, I am absolutely the least talented person on stage. And I look at these 9 other people, and I just I'm honored and I'm humbled, and I continue to learn from them, and I'm just grateful.
It's too bad they couldn't find any singers.
I know, man. That's the only part where we're weak on. We don't. There's vocal people. We're not very strong on
crazy singing
on
and
part.
great. The songs are incredible. Do you have any sort of favorite moments in the show?
I have so many. I love. Probably one of my favorite parts, I'm not even on stage, I love Prepare Ye. They have this whole amazing like baptism moment where they find...
The way the show starts.
The beginning of the show, and they find inner depth to themselves, and then we start off, at such a happy, joyous, liberated place, and I love watching that. I get to watch it on this like little monitor in the back as I'm waiting to come on stage, and I just dance and rejoice in it because it's beautiful. And
everyone enters from the audience, spoiler, and you actually use the audience in great ways. You're at the circle and the square, and it's completely in the round. A lot of people have never actually seen a show in the round there because most of the times they sort of go...
It can be three-quarter.
Three-quarter,
right.
Yeah. So what is it like being in the round?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
You cannot duck behind a wing and blow your nose. You can't turn your back and cough. You can't do those things. So suddenly you just have to exist. There is no fake. There's no like, when I'm looking this way, I'm on, and when I'm looking that way, I'm not. You don't have time. You can't shut off. So therefore, the second you're on, you just are on. And actually, there's something really pleasant about that. It's like, okay, cool. I can't hide who I am, so I'm not going. I can't. I'm not going to do it. So
you use the audience a lot in the show. Have there been any frightening audience interaction moments, or?
We do use the audience, but they, no. I think they're pleasant. They're just happy to be there and happy to be watching us, and we do walk around them, and they always are sort of looking up and like, oh my God, I can't believe there's one of the cast members is standing here right next to me, has a moment, and you'll see one of them like, slightly nudge the other person,
right,
and they're like, oh my God, and have which is always like fun. Like you forget that those small things, are, that even the small things are exciting to people.
It might actually even, the last time you were here at Broadway.com, we did an interview when you were in Spring Awakening, and you confessed something. I could tell that you were new to Broadway because you don't confess this, because you confessed that Cats was the show that like rocked your world.
Exactly.
Which I can actually relate to because it rocked my world too, and I will admit that.
I still stand by that, even though I'm now on Broadway.
But I'll bet it had a little bit to do with the fact that they were in the audience, they were clawing, right? It's like
I was that for Halloween
Godspell
for like 10 years. Exactly.
You were Cats for
I
Halloween.
was like I got like a wolf outfit and had my grandma like sew together this fabric that I found at like Jane's Fabrics or whatever that southern chain, Joanne Fabrics that you find in the South and Midwest. And full on, because I truly believe it stemmed from just seeing that show and them walking, you know, prancing around and acting like crazy people.
So obviously, what's your dream cat role? Is it like Mistopheles, Rum Tum
Magical
Tugger?
Mr. Mistopheles is my
Mistopheles is awesome.
My role. Magical
Magician.
Mr. Mistopheles. Dun, dun. See, I can. That might be when they bring that back.
I'm going to start lobbying for a revival with you as Mistopheles. That would be awesome.
Not Deuteronomy, not like, you know, Mistopheles.
But you're actually terrified of dancing, aren't you?
I'm only terrified of dancing because I have. It is so out of my body. I danced though for like 6 years when I was younger.
Oh, okay.
Until I was about 14, and then the being made fun of was too much for me at that point, so I stopped.
You dropped dance and got the leather jacket.
I did, yes.
Something like that.
But no, there's a little bit of dancing in Godspell, and I embrace it. I love it.
Yeah, there is some dancing.
It's definitely hunter-style dancing. Like it's just.
Is it fun?
Basic, you know, hand movements. Sort of maybe looks more like I'm miming than.
It didn't look that easy to me. I saw a lot of stuff going on.
Right, see? Who knew?
You pulled it off. But you may have to prepare a little bit more for cats.
Cats might be those pirouettes and suit and noose, whatever. See, I know some terms. Not totally out of it.
Has playing Jesus made you a better person?
Yes, actually it has. Well, when you have to be inside the mind of such a good person, right. I guess maybe you'd be affected, but also just being around such peaceful, our show is just uplifting. It really, at the core, is uplifting, and when you know, Spring Awakening was an amazing experience, but not exactly uplifting. So coming down from that show was just a different experience. Coming down from this show is just like, okay, so we just had fun for 2 hours, and now what? You know, and that experience is polar opposite to Spring Awakening, just totally different experience. And so I'm soaking that up because it's nice to be able to just have joy.
And spread the love.
And spread the love, man.
So as you mentioned, Weeds, it was 7 years on Weeds?
7 seasons, yeah.
You've gone from boy to man. Everyone's noticed your muscles.
Yes.
You're a man now, big, and now they get you naked. They do the whole thing.
Yes, even Jesus is
What's the
in
day?
his underwear.
What's the day like where they're like? Obviously, there was one scene a few years ago that everyone's like, "Whoa, Hunter Parrish grew up." What's the day like when they say like, "Oh, this is what you're doing next on TV"?
Yeah, I mean, the day I turned 18, literally the day I turned 18, the creator Jenji Cohen turned to me and she's like, "Get ready for next season." And I kind of was, but I was, 18 and horny, and I didn't really care. And since then I've kind of grown up a little tiny bit, and I have slightly, I'm a little bit more mature. So I don't know how much more nudity I'll do. I'm starting to protect myself a little more, but whatever, I like it.
What's it like to have YouTube videos with names like Hunter Parrish's Sexy Backside?
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I just checked it out.
Awesome.
And avoid the comments.
Oh God.
Don't read the comments on that one. There's all sorts of imagery going on. So looking back on Spring Awakening, that was, like I said, you were sort of a surprise name. It was like, oh, that guy, okay, cool. Yeah. And then you came, and the New York Times said you were winning. They said you gave a winning performance. Did you feel like you won? How'd that feel for you?
That was my first experience with being reviewed or having people talk about something you do in such a way, and I don't even remember that. That's how I didn't even really pay attention to that. Okay, but winning is I love that. Yeah, I did. I mean, look, I don't know how my performance was. I don't know how people thought about it. John Groff had crazy shoes to fill, and I think he's an incredible actor, and I love his work, and I love taking over where he left off and putting my own spin on it, and just trying to do the role justice. And I tried to do that every night, and some nights I probably didn't, but I hope the majority of time that I made the fans happy and told the story, and it's all you can really have as a goal. So.
Did you find yourself having to win over people that were visibly upset that they weren't seeing Jonathan Groff? The fangirls and the...
yes, I think a lot of time, I think John Groff is Melchior. That's who he will always be, and that he always should be. But they were actually very kind to me. So as was John. So
Were you didn't seem that scared going into the show? Are you just good at hiding it? Were you terrified?
Oh God, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I went in a week before I was actually supposed to go in. I was supposed to have 2 weeks rehearsal, and I think I had like 9 days or something. And they were like, they sat me down like 3 hours before Monday night's show. This was before we switched over to the other schedule, and they were like, I think you're ready. And I was like, I do not think I'm ready. And they were like, we think you're ready and you're going on. And I was like, okay. And I don't remember the first show at all. I just remember being kind of in a cloud of like, there's 1,300 people out there and I just need to hit my mark. And so that was, I was just in a cloud. And then the next day, Tuesday night and it was my debut. So there was that whole element of it because I wanted to be on Broadway since I was 6. So that moment of just embracing like, on stage and this is happening was also going on in my head. And so that Tuesday I was like, okay, I got this. And that was the moment that I was like, this is cool. This is really cool.
You won a Broadway.com Audience Award.
I did.
For Spring Awakening for Favorite Replacement, which is a really prestigious award. I'm sure you knew that. Do you still have it?
No, as soon as you gave it to me, actually, I had to go on to set, of course, and I just kind of tossed that in the trailer, and it got lost somewhere. But I appreciate the nod, though. Like, no, of course, it sits on my. I have a whole bookshelf. It's there. I love it.
Good. I'm glad.
I really. I actually do value that a lot. I think it's really cool, and I feel very grateful to have been recognized or whatever.
We're thrilled to make you a trophy.
Yes.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
So how long are you going to be with Godspell? How long are you going to... forever. Now and forever.
Now and forever. It's an open-ended run, so I don't know. We're still waiting to hear about Weeds season 8. and so as soon as we find out about that, my goal is to stretch them to not start that show until, I guess this is giving it away, but I don't want them to start that until I can really make a good stamp on Godspell before they get sucked back to that. But we'll see what happens. Some of it's out of my hands, but I look forward to being in this show for a long time. We're very happy together.
Well, I loved it, and I think everyone should definitely check it out.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.